Welcome to Gulfstream Park. It is December 27, 2014. Christina Bosnakis, Ron Nicoletti, and Ron, the sun is back. We had lots of rain yesterday. We had a couple of nights ago. We had some rain. So gloomy conditions, but we're back with the sunshine.
Yeah, we got to start the day with a good main track and a good turf course. And if the weather stays like this, watch that main track get upgraded as the afternoon goes on. And boy, do we have some great things to tell you about as far as guarantees today. We have a $150,000 guarantee in the Rainbow Six. That's right, $150,000 starting in race 5. Oh, but that's not all. In the pick 5, we have a $50,000 guaranteed pool. And in the late pick 4 today and Sunday, both those Saturday and Sunday for the pick 5 and the late pick 4, you see there $100,000 guaranteed in the pool Saturday and Sunday. So not that you need any extra incentive, but yeah, when you make those bets, it's good to know that no matter what, there's 50 or 100,000 or whatever the case may be. With the Rainbow Six, 150,000.
So, Ron, quickly, let's talk for a second about the the track conditions, as we were just mentioned a minute ago. You did say the track is listed as good, the turf good. We did have a significant amount of rain yesterday. We also had some rain the night before, and you think as the day goes on, it's going to be, because they did take the race off the last race off the turf yesterday.
I watched the turf races yesterday,
yes,
and I didn't see any big clouds coming up or anything. And we talked earlier in the day yesterday how the course probably needed some rain, and you had the whole night to dry it out. But you don't really know until we run that first race on the turf course, and we'll see how it plays out. The main track traditionally at Gulfstream, when you get a beautiful warm day like this, by a little later on in the afternoon, the main track will be upgraded to fast. But we'll see how things work out. But to start the day, a good main track and a good turf course, and that's we always tell you to do your homework. Watch these early races before you get involved in those multiple wager bets later on in the card. See how everything's playing.
Yeah, and no rain in the forecast as far as I know. So we'll jump into today's 10-race card, and we do kick off with the first race on the card, a 6250 claiming event, 5.5 furlongs on the main track. Number 2, Razzo Rizzo, blinkers on for Razzo Rizzo. And my top selection, I went with number 10, and that's Define from the David Jacobson barn, dropping. If you look at some of his form, actually I'm familiar with him from Monmouth Park. He ran at Monmouth over the summer and hasn't run since August 15th, but Ron, pretty significant drop.
Yeah, he looks like the one to beat. He's plunging, as you mentioned, at 6,250 level. He really faced tougher throughout his summer campaign. David Jacobson, he's 20% with the 61 to 180-day freshening. Jose Lascano in the saddle. Lots of things to like about the number 10 Define, except what you see on the board right now, the 4 to 5 price. So you want to try and beat him in the opening event so you get some money for a little later on. The other horse I had on my ticket was the number 9 horse in the On Appeal, now in Antonio Sanobon. He's getting some class relief after hitting the board in 2 of 10 starts against tougher, both here and across town at Gulfstream Park West. Trainer Sano, here's the part I like. He's 27% with new additions to his bond, and he's got Luca Panici, and it's always a good day when I could say Luca Panici. I like to say that. And I use the 7 Grambu I see. We basically have the same horses.
It flip-flopped. On to the second race on the card, and is a 20,000 claiming event, 7.5 furlongs on the turf course, and this kicks off the early pick 4. We do have a few scratches, number 1 and also 13 through 16 from the also eligible list. And Ron, I went with number 12. And that's Caminito. It looks like we were in agreement again. I think Caminito is going to be the one to beat. Ran a pretty good, I think a pretty strong second last time, and that was on December 12th over this racetrack. So he likes this course. He's been pretty consistent this year. I think he's the one to beat.
Yeah, and if you read the conditions of this race, it's non-winners of 2 races in life for 3-year-olds. So number 12, Caminito, a 3-year-old, already has a couple of wins on the turf, where the rest of the field is replete with horses that, have 1 win. So I always like that in my handicap, and I look for a horse that's proven he's done something. What this horse has proven, he's won twice, and he's the only one in the body of the race that has won twice. So Caminito, high gauge on my ticket, along with number 6, Sunbio. And it wasn't really enamored with Sunbio. I had a scratch of one of my horses in there, which was the 1 Starship Skipper. But I looked down, and everybody seems to be picking the number 6 Sunbio to be on the ticket. I didn't like his 2 races at Belmont. Albeit on the main track.
Albeit on the main track. I do think that not only the drop, I think he should fit in with this group. It's all relative. On to the third race on the card, and we do have a 12-5 maiden claiming event at 5.5 furlongs on the main track. And we do have a scratch, number 4, and my top selection. Ron, I think this is a pretty competitive race. Now, I went with number 1, and that's Rocket Man Richie, and for a couple of reasons. If you look back at his race at Hawthorne back in November, I actually picked him last time in his latest race, and because of his pedigree, I felt Bring the Heat, his number's very good with his turf runners. Now, it didn't work out that day. I did speak to Larry Ravelli that day. He said the horse had been training great. The question mark was the surface. Now, it seems like he didn't handle the surface, and also now we've got a big drop. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to give him one more shot because he seemed to have been doing well, and I'm just going to attribute it to the surface last time.
Yeah, I have on my ticket too. And just to add to that, Larry Ravelli, he's over 20% with horses making similar surface switches. But I did go with the 3 off duty, dropping to this $12,500 level, shortening up to 5.5 furlongs, broke from post 10 last time out, dueled for the lead, flattened out from his earlier efforts in that race. He finished a distant 4th, but that was against $25,000 maidens, going 6 furlongs here last time out. Returning Rocket Man Richie. I think that these, the 1 and the 3, I threw in the 5, you threw in the 8, but I think the 1 and the 3 are the 2 horses that you have to really pay attention to in this race. And race 3 was the second leg of the early pick 4. So, if you use a lot of horses in the first part because it's on the turf, you might want to just go with those 2 in this second leg.
Yeah, I would narrow it down a little bit for that. I agree with you. On to the 4th race on the card, and it is a maiden special weight. Excuse me. For 2-year-olds, if I can get that out. 6.5 furlongs on the main track. We do have a couple of scratches. Number 3, Sixth Man. Number 6, Materiality. And I went with the remaining Todd Pletcher horse. And in fact, this was always my top selection, was number 5, and that's Over Control. $725,000 is what he cost as a 2-year-old at the OBS sale in April. He worked to 10-1. That's a pretty good time for that 1/8 of a mile. Tappet, the sire, he sires runners on the dirt, on the turf. He has such a versatility. The mare, she was a stakes winner, graded stakes placed. You saw there was a little bit of a break last summer between that July 11th work and before he came back in October. However, he's been working regularly since. Ron, Tappet, first-time starter. There are so many things that I like here, and I think that was the way I decided to go.
We have our exacta basically flip-flop. I went with the 1 Centauro Star. This is son of Indian Charlie, debuting for trainer Gustavo Delgado with 10 Gulfstream Park West workouts showing. Trainer Delgado is really good with his first-time starters. Not a great big sampling because he hasn't been around here that long, but he's 23%. Javier Castellano handling the inside post. The 5, Over Control, for all the reasons you mentioned. I also threw in the number 8, Man of Fashion, who's a half to a grade 3 winner called Sing Another Song, who's been training sharply. If you look at this horse's gate work across town at Gulfstream Park West, and 49 breezing from the gate, that is a good move on that track with that surface. So number 8, Man of Fashion, and Sing Another Song, sort of the theme today. You
mentioned number 1 Centauro Star, and Indian Charlie, his numbers are ridiculous with his first-time starters. He's over 16%, which is a big reason why I included him among my top selections. I threw in number 2, Mountain Cry, in there, and this is a colt by Street Cry. Mountain Bird is the dam. She was a graded stakes place. This is the family of Birdstone and Birdtown, both classic winners. Very nice horses. He's actually a half to a grade 1 stakes placed horse. So for Nick Zito, I thought I would throw him into my top selections as well.
Am I right, am I wrong? As Nick would say.
That's my favorite. We're going to take a short break, folks, and we'll come back and have a look at the 5th race on the card that kicks off the 20-cent Rainbow 6, $150,000 guaranteed.
Gulfstream Park is one of Florida's top entertainment destinations, mixing restaurants, clubs, a casino, and international boutique shops with world-class racing. In a lavish, sun-drenched setting with the feel of a Mediterranean village, Gulfstream is a leading year-round entertainment and tourist destination and the home of luxury residences in 2014. The Stronach family, owners of Gulfstream Park, is committed to the sport of thoroughbred racing and the grace, spirit, and generosity of the horse.
The Rainbow 6 is back and it's better than ever. Now with a 20-cent base wager, it will expand the market for the popular bet. And in addition to doubling the base wager, the percentage return for the winners on the day the jackpot isn't hit increases to 70%, with 30% going to the carryover pool for the next program. Gulfstream Park, first post, 12:35 p.m. each and every day.
Welcome back to Gulfstream Park. We're going to have a look at the 5th race on today's card that kicks off the 20-cent Rainbow Six. Ron, a guarantee $150,000. Now, it is an allowance of one other than a mile on the turf course. We do have a few scratches, number 3, 13 through 16, and the rail at 108 feet. Ron, what did you do? How deep do we have to go?
You have to go pretty deep because the horse that we're going to show that you like on this thing, I did not use on my ticket. So let me start with number 2, Powerful Instincts, cutting back to a mile, after returning from the latest layup to finish 4th. That was against entry-level allowances runners on a yielding turf course at Belmont Park. It was on October 26th. Chad Brown, need I say any more? He's like 29% with this type of layup. Javier Castellano atop, the son of Smooth Jazz. Smooth Jazz used to run down here, so I got a little soft spot in my heart for Smooth Jazz. So I put number 2, Powerful Instinct, on top of my ticket. You did go with the number 4 horse in here, and that is Mobridge.
I did, from the Bill Mott barn, and we'll have a look at that latest start that Ron was just alluding to. That was back on October 8th, and you just see him switching over to his, you see him just right there. He's a little bit goofy, but he ran a very, very nice race. He finished ahead of a horse named Genre. Genre, a very nice horse, came back, won next time out. Now that was
right here, Genre run.
Exactly, and that was state-bred competition, Ron. But I have to say, in New York, the state-bred, the New York-bred races have become very, very competitive because of the money and the purses that are available. So I never really, a lot of times people will often take something away from a horse in terms of
especially on the turf.
Especially on the turf, but I think very competitive races. I had to give this horse a nod. Joel Rosario gets.
Well, I'm laughing here because this kicks off the Rainbow Six, and I'm looking at her selections. The only one we're sort of in agreement is with the number 2. But I'll tell you why I like the number 1. I Got ID. This one would depart from the rail after breaking from post 11 in its last race. Just stalking the pace, finishing 3rd. It was against allowance level runners. Are here on December 7th. That was day 2 of the meeting. Trainer Joe Orsino, Rafael Hernandez atop this son of Freud. I'm expecting improvement today, and I like this horse to be somewhere on the ticket. I'm using him on my Rainbow Six ticket, along with the 8, Trey Castle.
And Joe Orsino, he was saying that he was pretty high on this horse, and he expected a big effort from him. And he feels that the horse has improved as well since he's had him in New York, and he's acclimated very well here in southern Florida. So he'll be an interesting one.
So we got to go 16.
We got to. I think we've got to at least use 4 in here. The one horse I think we're in agreement is number 2, Powerful Instinct.
Well, that's because it's Chad Brown.
That's because it's Chad Brown. On to the 6th race on the card, and we do have a 62.5 claiming event, a mile and a 16th. On the main track, we do have a scratch. Number 4, Bear Fabulous Sun is out. And number 1, Grand Mysterio, no Lasix. In fact, running with no Lasix today. This kicks off the late pick 5, and also another guarantee.
Yeah, $50,000 in this pool here, and they nail this one all the time. It's a great wager because you get the one takeout for the 5 races. Then I mentioned 50 cents. I became a believer of the number 9, Tony Tile. He's run here a lot through the summer, and he never used to win. And I always used to say, I pick this horse all the time. He doesn't win. He started to win, and I think he finds a nice spot. Let's see, he moved to the Tamara Levy barn today via the claim. Steps up, stretches out after using that speed to defeat 6,250. 2 lifetime claim is going a 2-turn mile across down at Gulfstream Park West. Tamara Levy does a great job. She's about 20% with new claims. I just think this is the logical choice in here. But I'm not singling, that's for sure. I also use the 8 Kerf and the 10 Slicker.
Underneath, we have a couple of horses in agreement, but I agree with you with Tony Tile, my top selection in there as well. On to the 7th race on the card, which kicks off the late pick 4. There is a $100,000 guarantee in today's late pick 4. It is a $20,000 claiming event, 5 furlongs on the turf course. We do have a scratch, number 4, and there's a jockey change, number 2. JoJo's Comet will be ridden by Corey Lannery. My top selection, I went with number 3, Didn't Take It. I know that you used Didn't Take It. He is a bona fide closer. He's going to be coming from off the pace. And Ron, I just feel there's enough speed in this race to set it up for a horse like him.
Well, I used the number 6, Full Moon's Back, on top of my ticket. Now I want to go back and show you a heartbreaking performance. And this was October 25th, and it was a stake race. It was across town. And I want you to look at the horse. He's coming down, and he's the number 8, Full Moon's Back, and he's saying, oh, I got this race won. He's going down. He's coming down and just gets, you know, this horse comes flying out of the clouds to catch him at the wire. You'll see the horse making move. It's the number 7 horse coming up to get Full Moon's Back. Just gets him at the wire. What a heartbreaking. But what I wanted to point out mostly, you saw the surface there. There was given the ground of the turf course. That's what we're going to have today. So that's why I really like Full Moon's Back a little bit better. That was, you know, stakes competition. It was one of the $50,000 stakes we have here. Sort of the level of competition it's facing today. Didn't Take It for all the reasons you have it. And the number 8, Mishmash, on my ticket too.
I also threw in number 10, and that's dedicated to Bob. Doesn't really want to win, or at least he hasn't this year, but however, I thought I would throw him onto my ticket. Onto the 8th race on today's card. It is the Grade 3 La Prévoyante, and it is a 1.5 miles on the turf course. It's for the ladies, and Ron, really exciting race. We don't have any changes thus far, and again, Larry Colmus will come on in just a few moments and give us all the updated changes and scratches for today. This race, I was scratching my head. It took a while.
It was tough.
It was tough. And I feel you could make a legitimate case for probably about 4 or 5 horses in here. I did go with number 12, and that's Irish Mission. We just saw her schooling just yesterday.
We're laughing at the inside joke between us two, but
she's a big strapping mare. I was actually there when she sold as a yearling. I wrote a story on her for the TDN. She's a beautiful daughter of Giant's Causeway. Last time just didn't show up, Ron. She was 11th. She was well beaten that day, beaten by some very classy horses. I don't even think that's really indicative of what's, her best performances. You look back at a couple of her earlier races, she's really, I think, class-wise, she's going to be the one to beat, and she just looks stupendous. She was given a bit of a freshening by Christophe Clement, and I just think that this Canadian champion is going to come back and she'll run well.
I loved her performance in the Glen Falls, the Grade 3 Glen Falls up at Saratoga. So all the reasons you mentioned in there, but we both have this horse. I actually have it in 2nd, and you have it in 3rd, and that's a Photo Call. And Photo Call, I know you have a race rewind that you want to show.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at her latest race, and that was at Keeneland. And in fact, you're going to see her just hesitate, just a hair at the start. You see her just a little bit, she's just a little bit sluggish at the start there. But Ron, she ran probably as well as I thought. She picked herself up. She ran very well. She beat a horse named Costinia. Costinia came back, won here at Gulfstream.
Well, here she is in the stretch. So she really took care of it after that.
She's just a very. I personally think if that's her American debut, she's going to move forward off of that. She's in the barn of a Graham Motion. My only question with her, Ron, is the distance, the 1.5 miles. She's really largely unproven. That was at 1 mile that you see her here, but she was just wrapped up as easy as you please. So for my only question is the distance. However, her sire Galileo, internationally, not only is he the leading stallion in the world, however, he's a proven source of stamina.
Right. Yeah, so I mean, I got her on the ticket. I just thought it was a great performance and put her on the ticket there. They also used the number 4, Maxi Mova, and this one is making her first start since rallying 4 wide. She finished 3rd. It was in the 12 furlong Grade 3 Long Island Handicap. That was a yielding turf course at Aqueduct on November 8th. Christophe Clement, again, who also conditions, as we mentioned, Irish Mission. Irad Ortiz, this is a late-starting daughter of Danehill. So all the things you like to see in the 12 furlong race. Clement, Irad Ortiz, and all that good stuff. So a race that sounds as simple as the number 12 Irish Mission, but as Christina said, we were scratching our heads to handicap this race.
You threw in that daughter of Danehill Dancer, and that's Maximova. I threw in another daughter of Danehill Dancer, and that's Kay Dancer. She's making her North American debut for Chad Brown. Chad Brown has 2 in here, and I think both his representatives are actually, they're pretty good and they're pretty legitimate. Number 2, Clearbrook, and also number 11, Kay Dancer. First time Lasix for this 3-year-old filly, and she actually comes out of the Richard Hannon barn, a top thoroughbred trainer over in Europe, and she's shown improvement with every race. And Chad, he can get them ready to run first time in this country.
And just to add to the confusion, I guess, the West Wind. My long shot is in there, and that's the 7 Julie's Love. So not only that, I couldn't figure it out. I also put a horse in that might be ignored and score at a price. So the 8th race, a fantastic race.
It is, even though we were on the same horse. I think it's a lot more wide open than you would think. On to the 9th race on the card, and it's the Grade 3 Mr. Prospector. It's for the sprinters, 6 furlongs on the main track. And again, no changes thus far. And I went with number 6, and that's Speechify. And he's continued to improve. He's a lot more mature, according to Ralph Nix. And Ron, he has a significant issue. He has a restriction of the esophagus, which only allows him to essentially eat almost like a soup. So, but Ralph Nix has done a wonderful job with him.
Fantastic job. And if you saw his last, when he won the Kenny No Jr., you were actually over at Gulfstream Park, Westwood Midday. This horse looked outstanding in the post-parade and when he was coming up. So I think we have something from Ralph Nix to show you.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at what Ralph Nix had to say about Speechify.
Well, I mean, he's doing well. I mean, he's, overcome everything that's been thrown at him. Number one, he's alive. And, his performances have been well. He's doing good. The greatest stake company, it always gets tougher as you go, but he shows up every time. I mean, he'll try. That's all you can ask.
And that's trainer Ralph Nix, who conditioned number 6, and that's Speechify, and he's my top selection. We have the defending champion in there, number 7, Sing Another Song, who has a problem with sweating, actually. So in the summers, he seems to kind of keep a low profile, but he seems to, although it's pretty warm today.
Yeah, I got a lot of humidity. That might be a problem for me today. I went with Master Blender in 2nd, and then a late striding horse called Little Daddy, who basically didn't have a chance in that Kenny No, and are going to give him one more time to be on the board. You got him on there, too. You got him in 2nd. So the 9th race, the 62nd running of the Mr. Prospector.
Yeah, pretty competitive race. And again, here's another race. I think you'll probably have to use a few in your wagers. On to the 10th and final race on the card, which is the Grade 3 William McKnight Handicap, and it is 1.5 miles on the turf course. And Ron, we do have a few scratches. Number 4, 8, 15 have been scratched, and both you and I went in the same direction. Number 2, Unitarian from the Todd Fletcher barn. Seems like almost my only concern, Ron, his last 2 races have been on a course with a little bit of give, a little bit of moisture.
Right.
He hasn't really shown his best performance. I'm wondering almost if maybe he likes it a little bit firmer, although based on his numbers, I look at the Thorograph numbers, he seems to be the one that stands out in this group, and you know how I feel about Todd Fletcher on the turf.
Yeah, you think you can get a price, but usually don't. We both found him, so
this is not one of those cases.
Well, I also went with the number 3, North Slope, who I like in here. This one is going for his 3rd consecutive victory after following a $62,500 optional claiming win with a perfectly timed score. It was in the 10 furlong bowl game. It was on a good turf at Belmont Park. Kieran McLaughlin, Ira Ortiz Jr. going for the hat trick on this horse.
And well, a horse that I used was number 6, and that's Slumber. And as you said, he came out of a race where he actually finished 2nd behind North Slope. And again, Chad Brown. Now, he was previously with Bill Mott, now in the barn of Chad. I feel that that's a very level. You know the word I'm trying to use, Ron. You could speak for me. But I think that's a very lateral move between trainers. Joel Rosario gets aboard. I think he's going to run a big race. And also, we mentioned a minute ago Todd Fletcher. He has another runner in here. That's number 13, Divine Oath. He's a 3-year-old colt by Broken Vow. And again, my only question is the distance. Todd Fletcher seems to think he can handle the distance. He ran a very good race to be 3rd, and that was in the Twilight Derby. Long on Value, who beat him that day, came back yesterday. He didn't really run the greatest of races, although here's another horse you got to pay attention to.
You got to really pay attention. I would not be shocked at all if number 13, Divine Oath, wins it. I was torn between him. The post, even though it's a long race, I was, a little bit undecided whether to do this, but you got to have him on the Super High Five ticket. If we haven't mentioned the Super High Five, I tell you this every day. I watch it every day. Every day someone hits it, and it pays fantastic. So we'll see what happens in the Super High Five today. And and it's a lot of fun because it's actually a Grade 3 race. Usually it's the last race on the card. You don't have a stakes race, so we'll see what happens with the Super High Five.
So Ron, today we do have the Rainbow Six. There's a guarantee 150,000. We also have the Pick 5,
50,000,
and then we also have the late Pick 4,
100,000.
100,000 guarantees. So much happening here. Ron and I will be back for the rest of this afternoon. Folks, join us. We've got a great card on tap, and we'll send you off by taking a look at last year's running of the Grade 3 Mr. Prospector when the winner was a Sing Another Song. Stick around, folks.
Sing Another Song on the outside. 4 to Fort Loudon. And then it's Trinity Hart along the rail and Travelin' Man to the outside. And now Sing Another Song has taken the lead. Sing Another Song moving away from Star Harbor. Fort Loudon closing late. Sing Another Song and Juan Leyva in the Mr. Prospector. And then it was